So a very different question now. What roles do domesticated animals have at Bosque?
Domesticated animals, right. This gets into agriculture and even the history of humanity. Uh, the relationship we have with domesticated animals is not always very good. The way we use them now, as you're probably aware, in the industrial system, a lot of them suffer a lot. We eat meat that's contaminated, that travels very far. We eat too much of it. It's bad for our health. So we start out by rejecting it. Let's just start out by saying, okay, no domesticated animals. Of course, we're going to include us in it. I don't think we're quite ready to get rid of us. But we're the biggest problem domesticated animal. First one we're going to add back in is dogs. I like dogs. They evolved from wolves. They kept getting closer to us. The relationship grew. Now they're our genetic friends. And here, they're a great part of the security system. Here, dogs are a great part of the security system. They make this place safer. And dogs been following you around at night, right?
Yes, Mayhem likes to come to my cabana.
Yeah. And do you feel a little safer?
Well, I'm not really intimidated by the darkness, I guess, because of summer camps that I've gone to. But I do like the noise. I like to hear her, like, running down the path. And then when she gets to me, I say hi to her and stuff, and then she runs ahead. Cabron has also done that, and Sheba, but Sheba barks quite a bit. So it's really pleasant and it's comforting, but it's not like for me like an improvement of security.
Right. Yeah, but they do have a security role. There are people who are afraid to come here because they're afraid of the dogs.
Sure.
I like that.
Yeah.
When I first showed up here, coyotes would come right up to the house and look at me.
Yeah.
Now, I didn't mind that because I'm not afraid of coyotes. And in some ways, the dogs are bad because they scare away some wildlife. But then again, I don't want skunks in my house, That,
Yeah.
that has happened.
Well, I think, it depends on point of view. If I were a thief and this was my target, the dogs would register with me as a security issue.
Yeah.
So I think that they're effective in that regard.
Yeah, so dogs we've accepted. The next one is chickens.
Yes.
We have chickens, and I have more of them right now than I had before. Mm-hmm. I find that they're easy to care for. They give you eggs, which is an animal product, an animal protein thing. I realize there are some people that would be against that. For me, it's an acceptable solution. They also eat food waste, so there is zero food waste here. In fact, we go to town and we pick up food waste at the market and bring it back here to give to the chickens.
Desparecidos.
Right. And then the chickens produce fertilizer, which we can then use to reproduce plants. So it really seems like a winning system. So I'm very into the chickens. The other animal that I've been doing at times is raising rabbits. I'm not currently doing it because I have so many vegetarians come through. But I started raising rabbits. I raise them colony style, so they don't have cages or anything. They're just running around in a huge area. I want to make sure any animal we have here has a pretty good life, that they seem happy and healthy. So the rabbits were fun. They reproduce like crazy. They live under the ground, and then they come out when they're cute little babies. They grow up, and they have a good time. Also, those particular animals can eat forest plants. So if we're cutting branches next to a trail, we can toss those plants into the pen, and they'll eat those. Have to be a little bit careful because there's a couple poisonous plants we don't want to give them. Mm-hmm. Those rabbits also give us furs. We learn to tan the hides, and I don't have a lot of ways to make my own clothing. And even though self-sustainability is not the actual goal of the place, it's a good general direction to go in. So being able to make my own clothes just seems so cool. We waste no parts of the rabbit, and so that's something I think pencils out really well. In fact, if we look at meat on a worldwide scale, I think we should not be eating so much beef and big things with hard hooves that compact the ground, that need so much care. Rabbits are a wonderful scale. You kill a rabbit and you've just fed your family for a few days. Whereas a cow, if you kill a cow, you got a lot of meat to deal with. Certainly pigs would be another type of option. Again, a little big for me. Other domesticated animals that will come to mind would be goats. People raise goats around here for meat. They'll eat anything, so they'll eat the forest plants. They are a little hard to manage because, well, I mean, I'm a Capricorn. I know what goats are. They're kind of a pain in the ass. You know, they'll go right over your fence. They'll eat your shoe. And the other thing is, you know, for milk, goats would be an odd choice. In fact, dairy in general, I'm not that into because you have to artificially keep the animal lactating. So they have their baby, you take their baby away, and then you keep milking them to keep them lactating. It just seems a little weird to me. Horses for transport are an option. My van will eventually die, and I've thought about when my van dies, not getting another gasoline vehicle. Also, I find horses a little intimidating. I've thought about burros, and I think of all the options I can think of right now for other domesticated animals, burros are right up there at the top. And that's because they're not as intimidating to me as horses. They can carry stuff like firewood. I could go into town and buy things there, supplies, and bring them back. Also, and this is a little silly, I suppose, but they're just so cute. I mean, a baby burro, I don't know what's more cute than that, you know. And so I'm thinking burros. Also, they're currently a little bit endangered, not critically endangered, but there's less burros than there used to be here in Mexico because they're being skinned and their hides are being sold to China. So I could actually be part of kind of making sure we don't lose burros. What am I forgetting? What other... I'm not going to do ostriches.
Mm-mm. Well, those are the animals that we've talked about.
Yeah. The one other animal would be other types of poultry. Mm-hmm. I could do geese.
Okay. Ducks. You mentioned ducks.
Ducks are very cute, so that'll be tempting as well. But in general, and we talked about this as well, domesticated animals are a pain. Mm-hmm. If you're going to choose animal-based products or plant-based products, plant-based is way easier. Mm-hmm. Because if you have an animal, then you're signed on to take care of that animal. And I believe this is an important commitment you make to make sure the animal is safe, healthy, happy, lives a good life. And so I'm cautious to set myself up for a lot more work. If I plant things like nut trees or fruit trees, I can ignore them for years, mm-hmm. and everything can be all right.
Yeah.
So...